Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Josh.
And this is
NFGeeks.
NFGeeks. Well, Josh, for this episode, we were thinking about talking about a current event and then kind of NFing it our way through it. But, all right, I don't want to break it to you. Oh, no, actually, this is good. This is actually a good thing for you.
Okay.
Okay, it's good. Good news. Today, black smoke at the Vatican. You know what that means? The job's still open.
Job's still open.
There's a chance. Did you put your resume in?
I think I emailed the Vatican, but they didn't confirm it. So, I mean, they're lost as far as I'm
Did you need some references? Was that the issue?
Yeah, I put down some former clergy that I know, but I don't think they would have given me a good recommendation.
So, all right. So we're getting a new pope. A new pope is being elected,
Right.
and
Conclave.
in the conclave, and that's sort of a big idea, I think, for us. I mean, personally for us, because we come from an ethnic background that is extremely Roman Catholic, or at least used to be. And this area used to be extremely Roman Catholic. It's not now, but...
Well, I think the newer generation isn't, but I still think a large population is.
Sure, the older generation.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. So this does have sort of, I don't know, sort of a cultural impact. I have a lot of memories. I went to a Jesuit high school. I was taught by Jesuits, like all great philosophers and geniuses. I was Jesuit educated. So I have a long sort of history with it. So what do you think about it? What are your thoughts?
I think it's interesting to like kind of follow a little bit, not even from a religious sense, but just like it's kind of an interesting process, like how every cardinal has to show up at the Vatican and they all get like locked in a room and they don't get like released until they elect a new pope. And then you kind of learn like the Vegas comes out with the front runners, and you learn like
I know there's something. There's something inappropriate.
I'm pretty
about that.
sure I'm like 100% sure people gamble on who's gonna be the new pope.
Absolutely.
People gamble on like high school games and stuff. They definitely gamble on who's gonna be the new pope.
People gamble on like cockroaches, going up a wall.
Yeah. Cause like even on the news, like if you watch like the news, if it's like whether it's like CNN or like the Catholic channel, like they'll like go over like who the front runners are and like where they come from and like their resumes. It's a little interesting. It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'd like to think in the conclave it gets violent. You know what I mean?
Like
they're throwing chairs at each other.
It's like British Parliament in
exactly.
conclave.
Or better yet, it's like the Italian Parliament. Totally just off the wall.
Hands a flailing.
Yes. All right. Well, how does this connect to your NFness? Where if you had to connect it, where do you find connections?
I think.
Or where does it touch you? That's what
I think, like you said, like culturally, like right now, my grandmother is praying with a rosary in her living room, watching the TV, waiting for the new pope. Right now, as we speak, I don't know this for a fact because I haven't seen it, but I guarantee if I go over her house right now, that's what she's doing. She's going to pray with candles lit and a rosary in her hand. She'll fall asleep with it and wake up with it until there is a new pope. That is 100% money back guaranteed.
Yeah. It's one of my, I don't know if I've talked about this on NFGeeks. I think I have, but I'm going to talk about it again. One of my last memories of my mother was when John Paul II died, and we watched it at because it took a while for him to die. I remember her and I sitting at the kitchen table together, just her and I watching it on this little TV, all the CNN reports and everything like that. And that's because it was a big deal for us. If you're Protestant and Jewish, it may not be that big a deal. And that's okay. But it has sort of this deep root. I guess that's what the NF part for me is. One part is that it really touches back into my childhood, through my upbringing.
Yeah.
Again, and I go to a Catholic university now. I'm getting my degrees at a Catholic university. So it has a long history. That's why I like about it. It connects to my memories going back through childhood. I remember when Pope Paul died. I know this is way in the before time. I remember when Pope Paul died. I remember when John Paul I became Pope, and then he died in like a weekend.
A week, yeah. It was like really quick.
And then John Paul II, lots of memories about John Paul II.
Yeah.
Because he was Pope for so long.
Yeah, he was the only Pope other than this last one that like I know of, obviously. Well, that I like lived amongst.
Sure, that's
I guess you could say. But like my memories of him specifically are like very good. Like I know he's like a really like loved Pope and stuff like that. Like actually, there's an airport in Portugal, the one you land in. It's named after him. and
Oh,
stuff
really?
like that. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Pope John Paul II Airport.
Oh, that's Catholic.
That's Catholic.
That's Catholic. You're naming airports after popes.
Yep.
You know, that's serious Catholicism.
I think another NF thing about it is how the thought process behind it is for like people who don't know is that the Pope's already like predetermined, but now it's up to the Holy Spirit to inspire the cardinals to elect the right one. But he's like already there. Like he already exists. God already knows who he is. He already has the Holy Ghost in him. Like I think that type of like spiritualism makes it very NF thing
Really?
to talk about.
Now,
too.
do you connect with that personally? Like, do you like that? Like, that does sound NF, but like, is that something you also not necessarily believe, but connects with you in some way?
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I don't. It's since I'm like debating it so much, I don't think so. Because if I did, I would know.
Ah.
But like I said, I think it's more of like just an interesting topic, kind of like just any news story that's interesting to follow. It's kind of one of those.
One of the things I liked about Catholicism in my youth was I liked all the pomp and circumstance. I liked the robes and hats and incense going up and down, and you face the altar, then you turn around. This whole pageantry that goes on in Catholicism, I always liked.
For people who haven't seen previous videos that don't know that I want to be a professor now, when I was younger, before I wanted to be a professor, I actually wanted to go to Harvard and be a lawyer. But before that, I was actually like, and I was pretty close to this happening, but I was like supposed to be like a priest actually, for people who don't know. Yeah, like my grandmother really wanted it, and I almost became one. Like I was almost an altar boy, I almost became a priest. But I really liked the idea too of being like a Jesuit scholar. Like going, I always wanted, like when I was really young, and this sounds very nerdy, but I always wanted to be like go to the Vatican Library and like look through the documents. I always wanted to do that.
Oh yeah, and they got all the best stuff.
Oh yeah.
Stuff that no one's supposed to see. They have all the good things are the Vatican.
That's probably like if they do make the right decision and elect me as Pope, that would be the first thing I'd do. I'd go read all the good stuff.
I've always had a sort of a deep spiritual and religious side to me, and so I used to be very involved with retreats and things like this in my teenage years. And I too thought about being a priest, and this is going to say something about me because it's very ENFP. I too thought about being a priest, but I knew that I would never be able to keep the celibacy thing.
Yep, nope.
I knew that there's no chance of me getting through that. There's no chance. No chance.
Yeah, the first experience I ever had. As soon as I had it, I said, "Thank God I didn't go through with that priest stuff." Because it wouldn't have lasted. I think I kind of wish that kind of makes me wish though, because I do like the some of the traditions of Catholicism. So it kind of makes me wish that like priests could get married, and I think if priests could get married. And I think if the church was a little bit more progressive, I think I'd be more inclined to realign myself.
Yeah,
because
I feel the same way, actually. It's funny you should say that.
Because I'm very spiritual in nature, but I'm against organized religion, if that makes sense. Because I feel like anything, when it gets organized and it gets too big, it gets too corrupt, and it doesn't go with the true message, whether it's something religious or political or whatever the case may be. But I think if they were more progressive in terms of like homosexuality and not just that, but other things like birth control, stuff like that, and priests being allowed to, because in every other religion,
women priests.
Yeah, women priests. But because in every other religion you can have like, maybe not every other one, but in every other version of Christianity, a preacher can get married and stuff like that. So I don't see, there's nothing in the Bible against it. That was a Catholic thing that they made up, They figured they'd be more devout to their studies, I guess. But I mean, it doesn't say anywhere in there that they can't do it, so I don't see why they should be verboten.
Yeah. One of my you talked about being a scholar, from this experience of Catholicism. One of my deepest contemplations on metaphysics started when I was about 8 or 9. Because of Catholicism. So one thing I also appreciated about Catholicism, I know people hate this part of it, but I like that it's very serious. God is serious. It's no laughing. There's no joking in a Catholic mass. There's no like joyful clapping. There's none of that. It's all really, this is God. This is serious stuff. Shut up.
We gotta pay attention to Jesus.
That's right. Pay attention. This is heavy. But they changed the wording of this too, which I hate. But back in the when I was a boy, they would say the Nicene Creed, which is something you say. It's like the Pledge of Allegiance of Catholicism. Yes, and it goes, and this line, I've never, to this day, I remember this, because it's about metaphysics, and it goes, or it went like this, we believe in one God, the Father Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth, of all that is seen and unseen. Yes, and I remember it like at 8, thinking like, okay, I get seen, but what is unseen? Right, what is unseen? Where is is it behind the pillar? You know what I mean?
Where's this unseen they speak of?
Right. What is it that? Where is the unseen things, and what is it? And that I used to deeply think about that. As a boy, sitting in the pew.
When I got confirmed, actually, I almost went to the Vatican.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been wonderful. I would love to go to the Vatican.
They were like organizing a trip, but then like money fell out, and then like only adults could go, and it was like this big thing. But yeah, I almost went. Almost. I did get a token from the Pope, though. They brought back Vatican blessed tokens from the Pope, and they gave it to us, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah, CNFs love that stuff. Right around the corner from here is the chapel. Do you know about the chapel?
Which
it's right
one?
near the police station, like literally like 2 blocks.
Oh, yeah.
Past no problemo. It's
yeah,
actually, I think it's run by monks. It's not priests.
I see. Yeah, they have like monk-like robes.
Right.
But I think but it is Catholic though, because they have nuns running through there.
Yes, it is Catholic, but it's very conservative Catholic. They actually do the Mass in Latin sometimes. They do rosaries like together, like the whole congregation. It's pretty hardcore. Because I've been in there. I've seen it. I've seen it live.
In live action time.
That's right. Real time. All right. Is there anything about Catholicism that interferes with your NFness? Let's talk about sort of, what about it that where you feel the Catholicism and your NFness are colliding?
I think that if you were very like super dedicated, then it would get in the way of you a lot of the way of how you feel, the way you feel about certain people, certain issues, certain topics. It would get in the way, I feel like, of like intimate relationship building, all kinds of things like that. I think so.
I find that I feel that sometimes Catholicism, this is true of lots of versions of Christianity, but talking about our background, is that Catholicism thwarts any kind of greater and mystical experience, even though there's mystical experiences within Catholicism. I'm talking about just the institution itself, you know what I mean? Because there's sort of this rigid view of what is...
Right, like you can't really go outside of the like religion to experience anything mystical.
That's right.
So it like gets in the way of like different like techniques, different ways of seeing the world and stuff like that. Which I agree with that too.
So all right, so I want to tell you this funny thing that Josh will appreciate about my mother. So one thing in Catholicism, there's all these visions of Mary. All sorts of people are seeing Mary, all this. And so my mother was into that. And she would say this, like she was kind of into Bernadette and Our Lady of Lourdes, Lourdes, and she'd be like, well, I don't know, that might have happened, that may not have happened, but Our Lady of Fatima, that happened, because little Portuguese boys and girls would never lie. She used to say that Fatima absolutely happened because it was Portuguese, and these little kids would never, ever lie.
Not only do I swear by that, but I have my own story regarding Fatima.
Oh, no.
Listen,
okay.
my mother was completely obsessed by the story about Fatima.
Oh, yes.
Because it was Portuguese.
Yes.
She was convinced she knew people that knew the 3 little kids, like Jacinto and all of them. and then on top of that, she would like tell me the story and like tell me about how like the last little girl told the Pope like the secrets,
prophecies, and then the son sun coming out of the sky.
And
whatever
she
that
was like, she would tell me stories about how she was told stories about how that was real. Like, it was all kinds of good stuff. And when I was little, I actually went with her to the site, to Fatima.
Get out, really?
Yeah, I was there. And it's actually really cool because it's, there's like the actual place where they have it, and it's all like rocks all around the little shrine. And people will, one thing I will say about Catholics, people give like radical Muslims a lot of credit for being very devout. Catholics are really devout. Listen, at this Fatima site, people will get on their knees on rock, like cobblestone rock, and walk on their knees for miles and miles and miles around this thing, praying for like a little thing, like for their mother or something to get over cancer, and they'll do it from sunrise to sunset, like no problem. Like, it was really like an interesting thing to watch and see. And like all around it, they have like a whole town based on just the site. And like there's little people outside with little trinkets and things like from Fatima. And my mom actually bought like this little Portuguese people love little plates with things on them.
Oh God.
And she bought a plate from Fatima. And this like relates to another story because when I went there for another time, they have this church.
You've been there twice.
Not there twice, but I went to another place in Portugal where they have another church called the Church of Jesus Christ, and like Portuguese people from all over believe that miracles happen there too. So my mom made me get a trinket from there too. So she loves like all religious trinkets like that. But one day I was in my house, and before I went to the gym all the time, I used to work out in my house. There was like this series of videos called Insanity that I would do in my house. And if you know what it is, there's like a lot of like plyometrics, which is like jumping up and down and stuff like that. And in doing that, I actually knocked over the Fatima plate.
Oh no.
And broke it.
Oh my God.
And when it broke,
you have no idea how bad that is.
When
That's
it broke
bad.
and my mom got home,
oh boy.
If I had died, it literally wouldn't have been as bad. Like, she was, first of all, she was in disbelief that it broke. Like, how could a plate of Fatima break? Then she was angry. She probably chewed me out for a day. Just completely angry. Didn't eat, didn't sleep, didn't shower, just angry yelling. And then she lit candles and cried.
Oh,
she was sad about this plate breaking for like a whole nother day.
Oh.
That's a fact. All that happened, for real.
So that's what happens then when you're involved with Catholicism. Especially when it's connected to your ethnicity.
Dedication.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so that's great. All right, so thanks, Josh.
No problem.
That was a good one. And remember,
Anytime.
the Fatima, that's real.
That's real.
That's little Portuguese
kids would never lie.
Never lie. So that's the real one. Major Gori, yeah, who knows?